Hey besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mar, and today we are going to be talking about all of the books I read in February. This month started off really great, really strong, and then it all went downhill because I got COVID this month, and it took me a little bit more than a week to recover. So during that week I had COVID, I simply could not read any books. Every time I opened a book, I would end up falling asleep. So it starts off strong this month and then it just slowly turns into me reading nothing. The first book I read this month was Jade City by Fonda Lee. And I rated this 4.75 stars. This was a reread of mine. I read this a couple years ago, but I simply I did not understand what was happening in this book at all because it was so thick and there were so many characters and so many politics, so much world building, so much was happening. This is just not a great beginner fantasy book if you are beginner to fantasy. I went in and I annotated everything in this book. I had so much fun annotating this book and I fell in love with so many of the characters and the writing and all of that. And there's so many good quotes that I loved in this book. The reason why it's not a 5 star is that it just didn't hit the 5 star mark for me. It's a great book, but it didn't become my Roman Empire after I finished it. Like after I finished it, I wasn't constantly thinking about this is the greatest book I've ever read or anything like that. I simply just had a good time reading it. The character development was strong, the plot was strong, just everything about this was really great and it was a really strong. I'm currently reading the second book right now and I'm slowly getting through that. I just like taking my time with the Greenbone saga. So yeah, that is my review for Jade City. The next two books I read this month were Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home and Daisy Haites and the Great Undoing. And these are books 3 and 4 of the Magnolia Parks book series. Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, I rated 4.5 stars. I really like this book. If you like the Magnolia Parks series, like the first Magnolia Parks, and you like the relationship between BJ and Magnolia and sort of their sort of messy drama, then I think you would like this book. The drama gets messier and all of that in this book, and BJ and Magnolia are really just trying to learn more about themselves and, you know, in this book, they're more so apart from each other and they're trying to kind of navigate their lives and all of that. But I have to warn you, the ending of this book will break you. I just simply started reading these books because I was just interested in reading them. I didn't even know that the fifth Magnolia Parks was coming out this month, so I ended up being able to catch up before the book release. This book I rated 4.5. It's I liked it, but it just didn't hit the 5 star mark for me. Daisy Haites and the Great Undoing. This one was my 5 star book. This is the fourth book, and I think it's just because I personally love Daisy Haites as a character, and I love Daisy and Christian together. And there are scenes in this book that will also make you sad and heart wrenching and all of that. And I also love Julian Hates. And this one just hit the 5 star mark for me. It's I simply couldn't stop reading it. I read it in a day, I think, or something like that. I feel like Magnolia Parks is a series that it's you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. For me, I love rich people. I love Nepo babies. I love Nepo babies and their problems. I say that in every video I have. So this is why I love this series. When you read these books, they feel so real. They feel like they actually exist in real life, even though they don't. But it's if they had their own Instagram pages, I would be following. I would be following the drama. I would be keeping up with the British tabloids, trying to see what's happening with these characters and all that. The next book I read was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. So this is her werewolf, vampire, paranormal romance book. And I really like Ali Hazelwood's latest releases. Those are the only ones I've actually read. So I've read Check and Mate and I've read Love Theoretically, and I really like those two books. And then Bride, I really liked as well. I gave this one 4.5 stars. The beginning of this book is kind of hard to get through. And then once you're kind of done with the first couple chapters, then it just becomes really fun and really, interesting. And obviously, like, there is some like Omega verse stuff. Like, I guess it's like people are saying it's very much like entrance, like to the Omega verse kind of thing. I don't know too much about it, but there were some things that I had to search up online because I genuinely did not understand what they were. This is a vampire werewolf romance. The main girl is named Misery, and the guy is Lo. Misery is the vampire, and Lo is the werewolf. And it's kind of like this arranged marriage situation, but then there's also like another mystery that Misery is trying to uncover and all of that. So her and Lo end up having to work together anyways to uncover this mystery. And so it's a really fun book. It's a really easy kind of paranormal romance to get into. And I think with Ali Hazelwood, like romances and all that, is that they're very like silly, goofy vibes for her. Like she knows what she likes to write about. And I think as, she starts to write more and more books and starts to get more, like feedback from people, I think, her books have just been, really just fun and entertaining to read. And, I think sometimes with romance, like that's all you need to have is like a silly, goofy, fun little romance book. And that's what I like about Ali Hazelwood. So yeah, Bride, 4.5 stars. The next couple books I read were for my K-pop stan reads K-pop romance books for a week. The first book I read was Shine by Jessica Jung, and this one I gave 2.5 stars. If you want to know my exact thoughts on what I thought about this book and my reactions to it, go watch my video on it. But really, like, it's just the romance wasn't there, the plot wasn't there, the characters were barely there. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about this book. The next book I read was Somewhere Only We Know by Maurene, and this one I rated 3.5 stars, which is a pretty high, I would say. It's pretty much about this K-pop star named Lucky and this guy named Jack who meet one night in Hong Kong, and they decide to have kind of like a night together. It gives like Ferris Bueller's Day Off vibes or like Roman holiday vibes. It's like it's a really cute romance. It's really sort of fun and goofy, and I personally liked it. 3.5 stars. Yeah, check out my video for my full review on this. And then the last two books I read for the K-pop romance books are a series. So it is Axio's XOXO series. So the first one is XOXO, and the second one is called ASAP. XOXO, I gave it 3.75 stars. I really like the main character, and I really like the guy. I mean, I think she could have done more with developing the characters a bit more, but the plot was sort of fun. It did remind me a bit of the show XO Kitty on Netflix, and the titles are also like similar to each other, so I don't know what went on there. It was a fun read. And then ASAP is a continuation of the XOXO book, but it's the point of views of different characters. I liked ASAP more. I gave that one 4 stars. And I just like the characters more. I think the characters were definitely more developed, but also, like, since you met them in the first book, Axio could easily just like add more things to it. And so, since you already had that context, it was just a bit easier to get into. But yeah, I also like the plot of it. I like the romance in it. I think the romance was definitely stronger in the second book. So that's why I liked it. If you want to hear my full review of it, go watch my K-pop romance video. That's why I'm glazing over these ones. I've talked enough about those books already. The next book I read was Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, and I have a full reading vlog of me reading this thick book. I rated this 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. So this is the last book for Magnolia and BJ's storyline. So it is honestly such a nice ending. It wraps it up in a really, nice way. There's going to be a Daisy Hates book, so the series isn't necessarily complete yet, and I don't know if Jessa Hastings is planning on making like more like spin-off books off of this series, or if she's like completely done with it or whatever. Like, this series feels like something that could go on forever. If you just like these books for the characters and you like it just to sort of see drama happen and go on. I think you would like this book. I think with this book as well, though, there were a lot of moments in it that I just felt like slowed down the book a bit. Like, this is a 700-page book, and there were some moments that it just felt like it was going way too slow, or some of the events that were happening just like kept repeating. So I was having such a fun time reading this that it's like, for me, I didn't care too much to knock points off of like this book. So that's why like this is a 5 star for me. Like, I just grew attached to the characters. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I loved reading about the characters. I loved how the story wrapped up. And overall, yeah, it's like I just had a good time reading this book. The next 3 books I read were the ones that I read right before I got COVID, and that was the Twisted series by Anna Huang. So back in January, I read Twisted Love. So then for this month, I read Twisted Games, and then I read Twisted Hate and Twisted Lies. Twisted Games, I gave 3.5 stars, and this one is about the characters Bridget and Reese. And like all of these books are interconnected because it's pretty much about like these 4 girls that went to college with each other, and they each kind of have their own romance book. So this is Bridget's book, and Bridget is this princess of a place called Eldora. I don't know what the general consensus is or what Anna Huang wanted Eldora to be, but I always thought Eldora was like a European country. So this whole book, every time Bridget had a chapter, I was picturing like I was like in my head, her voice had a British or like European type accent. And then I guess for the audiobooks or something, she has an American accent. So I'm confused about that. I don't know what accent Bridget has. Like, is it American or is it European? Because I thought Eldora was like this fictional European country. So I was thinking like a random European accent. I gave this 3.5 stars. I like the romance. Out of all the characters, like I feel like Bridget has the least amount of trauma. So for her, like it's very much about her like coming to terms with the fact that she has to like run a country and all of that. Like, that's pretty much this book. And then she has like a hot bodyguard that is the love interest, and that's Reese. And so overall, these books are just really fun to read. Story wise, they're insane, and the stuff that happens is kind of insane. Like, I feel like Twisted Love is the most insane. Like, that one is probably the most unhinged. Like, Anna Huang was just writing anything at that point. The Twisted series is just like a fun series that you want to read, especially if you want to read some smut and all of that. I don't think too seriously of it. Twisted Hate, I gave that one 3.75 stars. I just like the dynamic between Josh and Jules. I think they're both fun characters because they're both kind of like, they just speak their minds. They're very much like 2 sides of the same coin kind of thing. Like, they're both very similar, but they're also very different at the same time, and their dynamic works so well. And I think like Anna Huang definitely had a fun time writing that one because Josh and Jules, neither of them have a filter on them, so they're constantly just saying things to each other. Josh is the brother of Ava, who is the main girl in Twisted Love. So yeah, that's how like so many of these things are like interconnected and all of that. But I like their dynamic. Twisted Hate was a fun read. For Twisted Lies, I gave that one 3.5 stars. I didn't mind Twisted Lies. I feel like with like the main girl, like Stella's the one that like you kind of get the least amount of info about like throughout the 3 books that like are released. She's an influencer and she's really into fashion. That's really all you know about her in the first book, in the first like 3 books. And then in this one, it's about her and this guy named Christian. And Christian is like the building owner of the apartment that she's living in. And it's about their relationship. I had a fun time reading it for sure, but at the same time, it was like it wasn't my favorite. Twisted Lies is definitely not one of my favorite books in the Twisted series, but you know, I think their relationship was like it worked well. I don't have too much to say about Twisted Lies, and I think I don't remember Twisted Lies as much, even though it was like the most recent thing I read. I don't remember it as much because that's when I started to get COVID brain. I do think Twisted Lies was also a bit too long though, because the other, like, don't get me wrong, like the other books are about like 400 to 500 pages, but like this one was almost 600 pages. It just wasn't as strong of a book, in my opinion. You do get introduced to some characters that appear in Anna Huang's other series, Seven Deadly Sins. One, I don't know what the series name is called, but it was like there's like King of Greed, King of whatever. I don't know. I haven't read that series yet, and I don't think I plan on reading it in a while because it's not complete yet. That's my thoughts on the Twisted series. So Twisted Games 3.5 stars, Twisted Hate 3.75, and then Twisted Lies 3.5. That is a very quick overview of what I read in February. Wasn't planning on getting COVID, but I guess I only get sick once a year most of the time. So I guess it came early to me this year. So now I have more time in the year to read. So yay, lucky for me. I haven't read anything. I haven't made a TBR for March yet. I'm very much a mood reader. So I read what I want to read during the months. And I think I might do another reading challenge video. I'm not exactly sure what I plan on reading yet. Thank you for watching this video. Social links are down below, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.